You guys been waiting for this video. I honestly, I really enjoy doing these milestone videos. This season is really weird, not only because we have half the milestones that we usually get at the launch of a new season, but on top of that, there's an entire new factor into doing milestones because there's augments, which augments, if you don't know what they are, they basically give you an advantage in the game that you're currently playing. You can have up to 4, and there's different combinations that you can use to actually grind milestones even further and even better. I've come up with a few. There might be more. You can comment them down below if you have any suggestions, because I am only one person. I'm only, you know, a fraction of what other people can think of. But so far, I think I have found the best ways to grind at least every single milestone that's released. I don't know if there's going to be any future milestones in, you know, the future, but if there is, I'll cover it in a different video because I can't tell if there will be more or not. So we're just going to cover the ones that are currently in the game at the moment. And then, yeah, but let's jump into it. So I kind of have them in like a different order. I have an entire list that I have. This is just a fraction of like, it looks like confusion, but trust me, I'm going to explain it to the best of my abilities. So we're going to start off with movement. So there's different movements in the game that you can start, like, just do throughout the game. So we're going to start off with Tame/Hunt Wildlife. So Tame/Hunt Wildlife is actually one that I've already finished. If you haven't seen my short, you probably should go watch that. I'll put it down in the description. But basically what you're going to do is either A, there's animals across islands such as boars, wolves, and jellyfish that are really good for eliminations. Jellyfish spawn into 4 to 6, so, or like 2 to 6, which is really good. You can just use your shotgun, shoot 4 of them, or how many ever there is, and it's a good way just to farm them in throughout the match. And then of course, I think there's frogs also and chickens, so you can also eliminate those. But the best way actually is taming your own animal and getting a friend and just going swapping back and forth. Now, other people have mentioned that you can also do a get 2 animals and box them up and go back and forth on both of them, but there is a chance of the animals attacking each other, and at some point they will eliminate each other. So I'd recommend just getting a friend and doing it. I've actually did this with a friend and it was super simple. We finished it like super fast, and at the time I honestly didn't think that it would be possible doing it, but it worked. It's been in the game for a while, but this is the first time the milestone has actually been a tame wildlife instead of just hunt wildlife. So for anyone that's saying that this hasn't been in, you know, a reason for us to do this, or, you know, tame animals and the glitch and whatnot, yeah, trust me, I've been doing milestone videos long enough to know that tame wildlife was not a milestone. Hunt wildlife was, though. So yeah, otherwise, let's move on. Next up is travel distance in vehicles. So the best way to do this is actually to drive dirt bikes, because that is also another challenge throughout the weekly challenges. Will probably be more. And boat with a boost. So there's different augments that will affect these, and like I'll go into those. So after I mention all of these, I'll go through all the augments and tell you which ones would affect it and how you would want to use this to benefit that milestone. So at the end I'll do that, but so far there's a lot of milestones, or a decent amount of milestones, so we'll wait until the end to go through all the augments and whatnot. So, but yeah, the best way to travel distance in vehicles is just getting a boat and boosting yourself, or even just driving a dirt bike and just driving it around, opening chests and whatnot, do your other challenges, eliminate opponents, and all that fun stuff. And then after that, we have search chests or ammo boxes. Now this is kind of difficult because it is a new map. This is the reason why I wanted to kind of get a feel of the map before I started recording this video, because I truly do not know if there's a really good route for chests. I've just been playing until I see if this chest route would work. If you want a chest video, I can do that. It might take me a little while just because there's so many spawns and I have to like factor in the distance between spawn or chest spawns and how fast can I get there and there. So there's a lot of factors that I go through before I, you know, do these videos. So, but if you want that video, let me know down in the comments. I will 100% work on that if you really want it. But the answer to searching chests or ammo boxes is actually, surprisingly enough, it is going to be on the map, is going to be Anvil Square. So there's around 50 to 60 chests. You can do this in Team Rumble, which you could because it is 100% spawn rate, but it's better in any other mode like bot lobbies or just solo squads, trios, duos, whatever. Because you can open more chests in that time period, because, you know, you might not even get that circle with Anvil Square. But my honest opinion or honest tip is to just search as many chests as you see. And throughout the season, you should finish this one. This is 1,500 chests total, so this will take some time to complete, but you should be good. I think I'm around like 300, yeah, 329. So, and we're only a week in. I should be able to finish this in a few more days. I haven't really been grinding too hard, but I've been grinding enough to know what I'm talking about. So next up, we have travel distance while sprinting. Now, this is one that I went until the end because I usually sprint all the time. I'm currently at 13,000. This one, just sprint whenever you can. If you're not driving your dirt bike or your opening chest, just sprint in between that. I know you're going to want to be using the hammer a lot, but try to sprint. If you want to finish this milestone, just sprint in between zones. You know, sprint when you can. The hammer is really good for movement, but the problem is you're not going to be finishing this milestone if you're whacking yourself with a hammer and flying across the map. So, yeah. And then that is everything for movement. Let's move on to damage. Now, damage, we have Outlast opponents, which is not really damage, but you do this while damaging opponents, because if you eliminate more players, you have, you know, better chance for outlasting. But the best way to do this is actually squad and solos. You can just AFK it, and you get around like you could probably place like around top 10, you know, even further into that. You could probably get around like 60 to like 80 if you're really lucky, if you get zone and whatnot. So you can do that. You have to do 15,000, which is a lot, but it is doable. So yeah, best way, squad solos. And the other way is just play games. You know, the more games you play, the more bot lobbies you play, the better, you know, or the more Outlast opponents you're going to build up over time. So yeah. And then next up, we have eliminate opponents. Now, the best way is bot lobbies or Team Rumble. These are straightforward. The damage ones are really straightforward. I played Team Rumble because I wanted to test it out, because a lot of people recommend Team Rumble as the mode that you should do these milestones in. But I never really tested out until now. Team Rumble, I got around like 20 eliminations per game. I played about like 5 games on average. There was around 20 eliminations if I really tried. And then also in Team Rumble, there's a bunch of other things that you could do, like healing and shield, but we'll get into that in a minute. But you can also damage opponents and eliminate opponents in the same game. So those kind of count towards each other. And 90,000 damage is actually for damage opponents, which is really interesting how that works. But you would think it was 100,000, but it's only 90,000. Maybe, you know, it was a decrease because not a lot of people would get that much. But 500 opponents is around 90,000 damage if you kind of factor in a few things. But yeah, you do those at the same time, so nothing really like different between those two. So Team Rumble, bot lobbies, or you could even play regular games if you really want to. But otherwise, that is everything for the damage section. Let's move on to health. Now, there's 2 different health ones. We have gain shields and restore health, which gain shields is anything such as jellyfish, big pots, minis, slurp cannon, whatnot, anything that gives you those shields. And then restore health is anything medkit, med mist, bandages, anything white health related. Now, there's a few ways that you can gain shields and restore health. There's plenty of different ways, and there's augments that actually affect this to the best ability possible. I'll go over the augments after I get through all these, which we only have 1 more after these 2. So kind of quick how many milestones there are. But to gain shields, the best way is slurp cannon, barrels, slap juice, and Neymar Jr. actually sells slap juice, which is really good. I'll show the location where he sells them, and you could buy up to, I believe, 6, which is 150 gold per. So if you do it that way, it is kind of expensive. But you can also just use slap juice to find on the ground. You know, you can find on the ground loot and then use it towards, you know, gaining shields and whatnot. It's 15 per, but there's a way better method that I'll get into after, you know, we get into augments and how they affect different ones. And then restore health. The best way is really taking fall damage, using bandages, medkits, slurp cannon, barrel, slap juice, and going into circle or taking fall damage and gaining that white health back. Also, Team Rumble is really good. You can get med mist, use it until it's about to run out, and then you can eliminate yourself, respawn, and rinse and repeat. I got around 1,000 per game, which will take about 20 games, if not a little bit more, in Team Rumble if you do it that way. But I would recommend doing Team Rumble. Actually, I personally, like, a lot of people have told me that it is the best way, and I agree. I did it. I got around 800 to 1,000 per game, which is really good. I haven't finished it yet, but for the 3-4 games that I played, I mean, that's how much I got. So kind of good if you do it, you know, do it well. And then the last final milestone is actually kind of ironic because it is activate augments. You can actually only get 4 per game, and that includes in any mode that is like BR, Team Rumble, and then you can also do in bot lobbies, which you only get 4 per game. So yeah, and then the fastest way is actually going to be the bot lobbies because you can last the longest, unless of course, you know, you eliminate yourself by accident or those bots go buck wild on you. And then this is going to take 125 games total, which is around the same amount of time it should take you to finish most of these milestones. So if you're curious on, you know, time wise, 125 games is actually 100% doable because 125 times 4 of course is 500 if my math is correct, which I'm pretty sure it is. Which is total of 500 augments, which yeah, Yeah, that is 500 augments. So now I'm going to get into the part where it kind of gets a little confusing, because if you don't know, augments, of course, will affect on how you do these. We're going to go through each different one. So if you want to follow along, the best way to do is just try to remember the augments that I go through. I'm going to name them, of course, and then I'm going to tell you how it will affect those. We're going to go kind of bounce around. So try to keep up with me. I apologize. Augments are really confusing at first, but once you kind of get a feel and understand of what I'm trying to tell you, you'll definitely understand how I did these milestones throughout throughout my games. So we're going to go all the way back to the movement. So we have Tame/Hunt Wildlife. This one actually, Aerialist, which grants you a glider redeploy for the rest of the match, affects you because you can go tame animals throughout the map, or you can go throughout the map and find more jellyfish, animals, and whatnot. So getting that glider redeploy is really good. This kind of applies to everything too. If you're trying to go grind throughout the map, getting that redeploy is really good. Redeploy is amazing throughout the entire movement and milestone grinding, especially challenge grinding too. So if you get that augment, always equip it. Now, compared to different other ones, depending on the milestones that you're going to grind, you might want to pick it over, something else. But it really depends on which one you're trying to grind out. So yeah, and then moving on, we have travel distance and vehicles. So this one is actually going to be bow specialist, which you can get bows, draw and reload faster and regenerate arrows over time, which if you get that one next to mechanical archer, which gives you a mechanical explosive bow and mechanical shockwave bow, you can actually use the shockwave bow to launch yourself on the bikes. You can do it with cars, you can have friends do it and whatnot. So if you combine those two, those are really good for that milestone. And then of course there's also my list here is supercharged. So you always want to have your vehicles not consume that fuel, and they also have increased health. That is always a milestone. If you're grinding distance in like vehicles, always get supercharged. That is the best one you can get, because you will not use any fuel at all. So always get that one while grinding any vehicle milestone or any vehicle kind of related thing. Next up, we have search chest or ammo boxes. So we have 1, 12, 13, 20, and 22. So Aerialist, this one, once again, that's redeploy. You always want to have that one. We have 12, which is going to be more parkour, which your energy regenerates briefly after mantling or hurdling. This is going to give you energy to keep running, which, you can, keep traveling to open chests throughout the map. And then we have 13, which is going to be party time, which gives balloons. Balloons are really good for movement, of course. Most of these kind of apply for the certain like outlines, but yeah. And then except we have 20 and 22. So my list is kind of confusing. I'll bring it down for here, and if anyone wants to see what I'm talking about, I'll bring this up because it is a little confusing. I have a list myself. I'll put this down in the description so you can kind of see what my thought process is. So we have 20, which is supercharged. Once again, you can also use this to drive around while opening chests or ammo boxes. And then we have 22, which is tricked out, which entering a car or truck applies tronkers or cow catchers on it, which you can use this to destroy buildings to get to those chests a lot faster, or just get around the map even faster. And then travel distance while sprinting. This one applies for 12. You can actually, this one's really interesting. With 12, this is the same one as where it gives you the more parkour one, which gives you energy. Your energy regenerates briefly after mantling or hurdling. So what you can do is actually build kind of this weird platform. I'll show you a clip of this. You can build a weird platform, and you can just go back and forth. Once you have this augment, you can go back and forth, and you can infinitely run, because you're getting that infinite run over and over and over because you're mantling. So you kind of go back and forth with it. It's really smart, and that's like a really good way to grind it with the augment if you do get it. So and then of course 17, which is soaring sprints. While sprinting, you'll be able to jump much higher. This kind of applies if you're running and then jump and then run again. It'll sometimes count as the sprinting one, so yeah, take that into factor. So that sometimes works. And then of course tricked out. I don't know why I put tricked out on that one, because this is entering a car or truck applies chonkers and cow catchers to it, so I don't think that one applies there. And then moving on, we have damage. Next up, again, we're going back to damage. So now this is kind of all the same for each one. We have 2, 3, 7, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 19, and 21. These are all going to be damage one. This gives you increased ammo. This has a chance of not using ammo. This gives you extended clips on your pistol. This is all going to be the ones that actually just give you more damage and more chances of you doing damage over time. So I recommend just trying to get these different augments. You can go through the list. We got Bloodhound. We have Bow Specialist. We have First Assault. And then, of course, there's a bunch more others. You can go through the list because going through all of them is going to take a little bit of time. And if you want a full rundown of the augments and how they affect each one, I can do that. But, you know, doing this in one video is a little bit confusing because, you know, there's so many challenges and augments that affect the gameplay that, you know, kind of, you know, rough to go through all of them. But just remember, all these are going to be damage ones that, you know, you can go through. So yeah, moving on, we have health up next. Now I actually found a great way to grind these. I'll show you a clip of it because this is by far the best way. I think I'll probably show these twice, but the best way to do it is actually getting two different augments, which there's one that gives you a fishing rod, which you can get infinite jellyfish by fishing. And it is really good because each jellyfish gives you 20 shield or 20 white health, depending on which one you need. And then you can use this with another augment, which is actually the explosive bow. The one that gives you an explosive bow and a shockwave bow. You can put these two together and use them, and you can take explosive damage, which takes your shield away, takes 120 damage or 120 health away from you, and then you can keep fishing for more jellyfish, will give you more health and more shield. So it's kind of confusing, but once I show a clip, you kind of understand how it works. And this is a really great way to gain shields and restore health. Both ways, so they work. So I'd recommend doing it. That is a really good way to do them. Now it is a chance of getting those augments twice, but when you do get them, I recommend just grinding them out because it's kind of rare to get it, sort of. I mean, it's just really, you can re-roll until you get them, but that's a lot of gold, and I'm not going to go through that. So yeah, and then finally we have extra, which is to activate our augments. This one doesn't have any. I mean, just activate your augments. Make sure you do them. It occurs every, like, I think it's like 5 minutes, I believe, or 4 minutes. I mean, they pop up, so you can't miss them. But I do recommend going and making sure that you have the augments activated and try to use the augments that benefit each other as much as possible. Like, you know, using the car one where it gives you chonker wheels and the cow catcher on the car, along with the vehicle not consuming fuel and having increased health, is a really great combination that you should have with them. And of course, the ones that I mentioned, such as the health one with the jellyfish and the explosive boom bow, is really good to put them together. So otherwise, that is everything milestone wise. I know it's a little confusing. Augments have really kind of changed my mind on how to do milestones. If you need a simplified version of this, I could also make another version of just telling you which ones are good for each milestone and whatnot. Like I said, I could do that. But otherwise, that is every single milestone, how to grind them, and different augments that affect each one to the best of my ability. If you didn't keep up with me, I'll try to explain down in the comments if you have any questions. So if you have questions, let me know, because I will respond as soon as possible, which is usually within a few minutes, if not within a few hours. Otherwise, if you are new to the channel, if you're willing to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. As always, if you want to turn on notifications for any further videos, I'll be covering any other challenges throughout the entire season, and any other milestones that do come out, any challenges, I promise I'll be covering them. Otherwise, that is it for the milestone video. I know a lot of people, you've been waiting for this. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that you guys do for me. So thank you. Otherwise, everyone have an amazing day, night, wherever you are, and I will see you guys in the next one.